Well, Nico, thanks a lot for joining. I know that you have a lot of stories to tell. I was actually excited to make this call with you and to record this episode because I followed along your journey and it saw pretty much everything that you've done. So thanks a lot for joining. For people who don't know you, do you mind like just saying who you are?
Of
And
course. Yeah.
yeah,
Thanks for Giovanni, first of all, for taking your time. Really appreciate it. So to give you a little context, I started making music when I was around 15. Downloaded it like a DAW and experimented with music production. And that was just like a hobby on the side. And I always kept it as a hobby, but never took it too seriously. I released like a song here and there on SoundCloud, but that really didn't go far. It was just like my friends listening.
of course.
Without marketing doesn't come much. When I finished high school, I kind of gathered some experience in e-commerce and online marketing. I figured, what if I promote my music like a product? And I basically started thinking of the whole thing as a business, and I started releasing consistently every 4 to 6 weeks and putting a lot of time into different strategies and different tools and trying out all kinds of different things. I've been doing that for 3 years now, and I feel extremely blessed to now be able to say that I can live off of my music. I just moved to Barcelona, my favorite city, and I can do it completely off of music, which is like my dream come true. Pretty much there was a big hiccup when I signed the wrong deal. I didn't do my research. Basically almost lost my career because I fell into a deal with a record label that was working very maliciously. I told myself I want to do this whole thing independently. So since that one deal, I've done everything by myself, even mixing and mastering, which I don't think is necessary. And you'll probably hear it in my song.
I mean, it got to 1.5 million monthly listeners. So if that's enough for 1.5 million people, I guess it's enough for more. So
Yeah.
no, that's cool. You mentioned something at the beginning, which is basically like you started with like e-commerce and like, like you took what was working there and tried to make it applicable for music as well, which is actually pretty funny because that is literally what I did too. I was in a band and I was trying to get our music heard. And at the same time, I was getting into e-commerce and ads and all this stuff. And I was all like drop shipping by the time, failing and wasting a bunch of money. But then when I took the same strategies that were kind of working there, I was learning stuff and I did it for music. Then that's when basically for me, things started to work, and I was able to see some success. And it looks like that is something that you did too, and that's interesting to hear this like common story, where like, it's interesting that when people see it as a business, turns out that it can actually become a business. Like how incredible that is, right?
Yeah.
So you said that you were releasing like a song every month or so, basically, every 6 weeks. I can see that you have quite a decent catalog. Now, I'm curious to know, what are the main strategies that you use to grow from basically zero to where you are right now, which is 1.5 million monthly listeners? Like, what have you done?
So it's a lot of things, and I tried everything to kind of grow my catalog. But really, I've now narrowed it down to a few things that I do with every single release, which is, first of all, I started my own playlists. That has really helped me grow. Once I've had my own playlists, I was able to sign up to playlisting platforms such as BitHub and Playlist Push and so forth. And that kind of created a running circle where I would receive money for reviewing songs and putting my playlists and growing my playlists consistently. And then when I put my own songs into there, it kind of told Spotify, hey, this music from this artist fits with this artist and this artist. And that kind of really when like my trajectory changed and like I really started to grow.
Dude, this is a hack that not a lot of artists know. And this is also something that a friend of mine did like 2 years ago. And I helped him grow his own playlist. Like he's mainly running ads to grow his playlist. And he did that for 2 months at the beginning, got his playlist to 1,500 followers. Then he used that playlist to go on some meetup, the same way that you did it. And then he was able to monetize the playlist. Artists could get submission to a legit playlist that was handled by someone who was investing actual money and driving a real listener. So like both win. And then he was using the money both to live and also to reinvest in his music career. And I think this is a hack, and it's also pretty easy to do, in my opinion. And that's awesome.
One of the biggest hacks that really helped me is exactly what you just explained. When your song comes out, you have a few playlists immediately to put your song in the top 3. As soon as the song comes out, you're getting streams, which brings me to my next point, taking the first 24 to 48 hours really seriously of your release. I really think Spotify kind of dictates where your song should perform in the future, considering how well they are in the first 2 days and then how well in the first week. It enhances the chance of going onto Discover Weekly and the radio playlist, which is really what I've grown. when it comes to editorial playlists, like the ones that you submit to on Spotify for artists, I've kind of ignored them more or less. I've pitched to them just to get on release radar, but I haven't taken 4 weeks before my release to send it in. Like I've kind of been very spontaneous with my releases. Right now I'm releasing one on Thursday and I uploaded it last week.
I think this is a trend that I've noticed in this last 6 months, especially for indie artists. I'm seeing a lot of artists releasing one song every month, maybe every 2 months, different genres. You can make a song as fast as possible, but it's hard to make, for example, a metal song in like 2 weeks. It usually doesn't happen. It's maybe easier for EDM artists or someone who just needs a laptop and not a full band. But at the same time, I've seen artists and bands doing it, and they are simply ignoring Spotify editorials. And this is also coming from someone like me who, with his own band, had 500,000 streams coming from editorial playlists, but this was like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Now, it's possible for smaller artists and bands, but the amount of efforts and chance of you actually getting there, first of all, but then also for the editorial playlist to produce a decent amount of streams that will justify your effort and your hopes of actually getting on those. I just think it doesn't make sense. Like you get so much more by just trying to stay consistent, and obviously you want to find a good balance between making art that you're really passionate about and really happy about to like putting out music just because you need to make more of it, right? So you obviously need to find that balance.
Yeah, no, 100%. And what I forgot to mention is like, I saw this like success in doing exactly that, just like being consistent. And it doesn't have to be every month of the year. I've also taken 3 months break and a 2 month break when I didn't know what to release and I had to figure myself out and I didn't know what direction to go in. It's fine to take breaks here and there. But yeah, I was consistently releasing and then consistently promoting it with that strategy that kind of really helped me. The last thing that I wanted to mention was Meta ads, Facebook and Instagram ads, mainly Instagram. It's true that they're expensive, but I've really seen it as like the most powerful tool that I have, because it allows me to really boost the engagement, how many people see it in the first week. Like I could never do with my Instagram page alone. And even putting $50, $100, $200 onto a release, which I think is well worth it for a song that I spent hours and hours and weeks fine-tuning and then mixing and then mastering and then going 10 versions back and forward. You know, like I think it's a well worth investment to kind of give it its full potential. And
yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing. And I've done the same thing now for my roommate. He's called Paco on Spotify. We've known each other since kindergarten and we moved together like 4 years ago in Vienna. Now we moved together to Barcelona because we're in the whole thing basically together under separate names, but the exact same strategy. And he's grown also within 2 years to now he's at 750,000 monthly listeners.
Wow.
And
so,
doing this for, sorry.
No, I was just going to basically recap your strategy because I think it's pretty important and I really want people to fully understand what you've been doing. So you started with making music, but then created your own playlist and then you were driving traffic to that playlist, I assume using meta ads? Yeah.
And on TikTok as well by posting simple clips like House of the Day.
Got it.
Number, I just, that's an easy thing to kind of get traction on there as well.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, you were doing that and then you use that playlist to go on Submit Hub so you can review and curate the playlist. So in exchange for putting artist music on your legit playlist, which is very important to actually mention, you were getting paid. So then you could like reinvest the money every time that you dropped a new song and basically amplified every release with meta ads. Obviously, there is like the micro things that you do, such as you schedule the song at least a few weeks before just so you can get into release radar. But really, like it sounds like 90% of your strategy is just basically this, right?
Yeah,
that is awesome.
Pretty much. I've started doing this for other artists now. I had a friend from Luxembourg who's also a DJ since years and had a few songs out, and it's worked for him as well, which is why I find it crazy that it's like such a little talked about topic, like to kind of grow yourself like this and not focus on editorial playlists or labels or live gigs at first to make money or merch or something, you know. Usually that's what people say, like to make money at first, like you try and sell merch or try and make your own events and sell some tickets or vinyl, and these work, but it's, you know, if you don't have a big audience, it's not easy. And then you want to grow your music and your audience, the people who are fans of your art.
Yeah. Dude, like I get so excited and I'm so happy for you, honestly, because it makes me so happy to know that, I mean, I know hundreds of artists like you, but for artists to hear it from someone else and not someone who has a company, right? Hey, this is possible. It really makes me happy because, like you said, you don't need a label. You don't need to also invest huge amount of money. It's more expensive than other sort of channels or posting organically every day on TikTok or IG. But I also believe that you either invest time or you invest money, right? So ideally, you want to do both. Like you want to invest in ads, but you also want to invest in time to make content, right? Hand in hand. But you are also proving that in theory, if you did just the ads part, right, with the quick monetization with the playlist, you can go really, really far. You did it in a few years, and you are now at 1.5 million monthly listeners. Your roommate did it in 1 or 2 years, and he is at like 500,000.
That's nice.
So there you go, guys. That is awesome. Some artists are also wondering like, okay, that sounds awesome and I want to do it too. But like, how much should I invest every month? Is it $50? Is it 2,000? Like, do you have any sort of like estimate to give to other artists who might want to do the same thing?
For sure. I mean, you should only invest what you can. You shouldn't over invest.
Goes without saying.
It obviously goes without saying, but it goes really quickly with Facebook ads, with campaigns, because kind of started increasing. I started when I finished high school and I had a summer job, and I put between 200 and 300 euro into my releases, which I saved up from that job, which is a lot. But I think, again, if you're investing so much time and all the money in the equipment and in their plugins and in mixing and mastering, it's a well worth investment. I can only recommend it.
It's basically like buying a Ferrari, but then not buying the fuel to.
Exactly. So I started with like 100, 200 bucks, and then I kind of grew myself up. Now I spend much more. I'm able to spend around 1,000 into my releases, but it sounds like a lot, but when you work with record labels, that's not a crazy budget. Like a lot of record labels will put that into marketing budget.
Yeah, the way that they actually make you recoup that budget is stupid and dumb.
Well, if you pay it that way, you're going to end up having to pay it off for much longer.
Yeah, exactly. Like, would you so say that there is an artist that has $500, right, for a new release. How would you spend it? Would you spend it like daily, so say $15 per day for 1 month? Would you spend 80% of it in just the first week? How would you do it?
I have the campaign running for around, I always front load the investment, which means I kind of start, let's say I have 500 in budget. I would, first of all, maybe spend 50 on SubmitHub and spend it on sending your song to curators. And then with the other 450, do it into Facebook ads, some of which can go into your playlists that you already exist, that you can put your song into top 3 places. And then maybe 50 of that would go to the playlist. And then you have 400 left with promoting the song directly. And with that, I would spend 100 to 150 on the first day. Try as many different ad sets, as many different video clips, as many different target audiences with countries and interests and ages and what so forth. And then kind of test as soon as possible, which first of all gives you a lot of traffic on the first day, which is good for Spotify. And then on the second day, you're able to turn off the ads that aren't performing well and filter out the ones that do. So you spend 150 the first day, you'll spend 80 the next, 50 or 40 the next, and 30, and you end up at maybe $10 after a few days. That little amount that you have in the end is going to be so optimized that it gives you the same result as if you're spending like in the first day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Awesome. Now that you have these strategies like really locked in, you are able to basically make it repeatable on every single song that you drop. What do you have, like what plans do you have now to basically take it to the next level? Because what I'm also testing is selling merchandise to complete strangers to essentially turn strangers into fans who already support you. And that is actually working really, really well. It's not easy to be profitable on day one. But for one band, for instance, they made almost $4,000 on the first campaign where they were selling a CD, a vinyl, and then a t-shirt, I believe. Yeah. And then just because those fans came back, in the following 3 months, they made another 6,800 just from those fans. So it's super powerful. And I'm a big proponent of owning your fan data, right? So it's not just about like for you, it's obviously working well and it can work well for so many. I'm curious to know if you had sort of anything in mind or you had any sort of marketing plans basically.
Well, so I'm in the house scene. So for me, it's a bit different than for a band. For me, a house producer and DJing goes hand in hand. It's like a synonym nowadays. So my goal now is to start collaborations with other producers and DJs and have a music playing live and going straight to real fans. and then also collecting footage and stuff that I can use for promotion to see my music playing around the world
Yeah.
with other artists. I've always wanted to do it, but I was just so spontaneous with my releases always that I never kind of figured out a track beforehand what to do. And it has to be said that like doing a collab with other people, while it's an amazing opportunity and often the music it's much better and it reaches two audiences instead of one, it might hinder your consistency because when you have two teams and the other artist has a manager or a label and stuff and it goes back and forth with them as well and they want it 4 months ahead scheduled, then it can hold somebody up. At the moment, I just want to build connection with other artists, make more music, go more into the club scene, music software as a little commercial, and chill more for like the train ride or in the car.
Very cool.
But yeah, and then once that merch is a thing I've been thinking about, I've been holding back because I haven't really had a proper idea how to really promote it and what to design it and how to release it. I'm curious, did you release it as a batch?
No.
Or was it like a continuous?
No, it's something that we are testing now for like 6 or 7 different bands and artists, because what I'm doing now is basically I'm testing marketing strategies with real artists and bands, so we can then take those and put them onto Smart Noise, so hundreds of other artists can use those that are already proven to work well. But what we did is something that is actually pretty common, especially in the e-commerce space. I think you've heard the free plus shipping offers before. Okay. And so basically what we are doing now is the same thing for like all these 6, 7 different artists. We use the same template. So what we do is with the thing in mind to be able to convert strangers into potential fans, we need some sort of offer that is not just, hey, I'm selling this CD, I'm selling this t-shirt, because people don't know you. And it's the same thing as saying like, hey, you don't know me, but why you don't go pre-save my next song? They don't give a shit. It doesn't work, right? We are basically promoting a free CD where the fan only needs 2 covers for the shipping. The CD costs 0 for them, and we also make it special. We include like an unreleased song, maybe we include a remix that is not available anywhere else. So we make it special, so they not only get it for free, but they also get something that is special and they are not able to find it pretty much anywhere else. But the thing is this, the fan can also choose to pay something. The CD is 0 if they don't want to pay anything, but they can also pay something. We have the pay what you want option. And so I would say 70% of people choose to pay, no, actually a bit less, like 60% choose to pay 0, but then the other 40% pay 5, 10. Some people even pay like $50, right? But then before buying this like free CD, there is order bump, which is a product that is offered before you basically pay for the CD. In most cases, about 50% of people actually buy that, which is incredible. And then we have an upsell, which is another offer in the thank you page, in the page that fans see when they buy the CD plus maybe the t-shirt. And we offer them usually either a vinyl that is on the $30 to $40 range, or a bundle of merch like a vinyl, hoodie, something else for like $50. And usually anywhere between 5 and 20% of people buy that. So with this process, a lot of artists, I would say 50% of the campaigns that we are running are able to break even on day one. The other 50% go from like 0.50 to 0.8 return on ad spend, which keep in mind, you are asking people to buy a CD from a band or an artist that they never heard of before. So even if you're losing some money on the initial campaign, you're still getting fans in the door who already gave you money. Chances of them buying again from you is 100 times higher than someone that you need to convince to be moved from like Apple Music to buy merch. So it's incredibly powerful. Then a lot of fans, after 1 month, maybe 2 months, maybe 3 months, they actually come back and buy more merchandise from the band, from their official shop, so they can make all the money back plus a lot of profit from the initial campaigns. Imagine if you can spend $50 per day profitably. What I'm trying to tell these artists is you need to spend as much as humanly possible, because if you're able to acquire fans for free, it's like if you had to raise money for your company and you're able to show people that you're able to acquire customers for free, you can raise money pretty easily. So that's kind of the same approach for getting fans. So that's pretty much the strategy in like 5 minutes, but it's very, very powerful.
Yeah, it's an interesting approach for sure. It's like when you have the basic surface level knowledge about, hey, so I'll sell merch. The average artist has no idea how to set it up, that it actually works. It's a similar story with the Facebook ads and Instagram ads. When you just watch a basic YouTube video and you're confused with what everything means, it's hard to do it. That's why I really like your channel as well, that actually go into detail of music promotion and talking about the details about what it takes to kind of turn it around and make this whole thing work.
Yeah, we have Smart Noise where we make running ads way easier for artists, especially if they never done it before. Well, now we could team up and we can really teach your strategy in an actual course so they can go to Smart Noise and implement the whole Nico system, you know. That would be fun.
Yeah, no, I put everything, my strategy, into one A to Z kind of blueprint thingy, because I've had artists ask me as well, like, what I do. And I've had a friend come over, and when I tell him the whole story, I talk for 5 hours. It's kind of hard to understand, and for me, hard to keep track where and what phase it is. So now I have it all structured, really, like from starting a song to finishing it, to uploading it, to distributing, to creating videos, to creating this organic promotion, the paid promotion, the whole thing. I've like right now, my mission is to kind of share it with as many artists as possible, because I really think more artists should know about how marketing, and it is possible to do it independently and to live off your music.
Absolutely. And whatever we are going to publish this video, whether it's YouTube or on our website, I will make sure that the link to your guide will be there. Absolutely.
So now we have a similar mission, 100%. There has to be more people that realize that there's so many misconceptions out there. When with Spotify streaming, every time I see a topic about it on Instagram, all the comments about just hating on Spotify, it's impossible to make money because Spotify takes...
Do it. So obviously,
yeah,
things
100%,
can improve in so many different levels, but usually I never hear people like you with 1.5 million monthly listeners complaining about not getting paid enough. Usually, and I'm not hating. Trust me, like I fully understand that it's not easy to make music. It's really hard to make it a business. But at the same time, when there are people like you and hundreds and thousands of other artists who did the same thing that you did, where is the truth? It's probably in between, sure. But I also want to get this point across that if Nico did it without like extra funding or a freaking record label, you watching can probably do this too. So
yeah, no, thank you. And I agree. It still requires luck. You know, I'm very lucky that it worked so well. I had some
good music
and good music. I mean, arguably, a lot of my songs that I thought, like after releasing them, I was like, honestly, I can't listen to it anymore after listening 1,000 times and doing the mastering process. A lot of songs that I had least hope in actually started performing the best. Music is a subjective thing. Of course, your music has to be on a certain quality that doesn't sound too different from what other artists or what's playing on the radio, quality-wise, mixing and mastering level-wise, but it doesn't have to be the most professional thing. And one thing that really changed my way is you're not making music for sound engineers. You're making music for listeners, you know, and they don't care if your kick is 2% too loud or too little.
My curse, actually, because like I have a band now and I play guitar, but my background, I mean, I've been a mixing engineer for like 5 or 6 years. So I have like this blessing with the course where I can do stuff for my own band, but at the same time, I spend freaking like 4 hours on the snares balancing the 2 kilohertz or the attack time of the compressor for like half an hour. Thankfully, it doesn't happen that often, but what I'm trying to say is that it's cool when you can do it, so like, you don't have to necessarily outsource everything. You can take care of the mixing and mastering, but it can also be a double-edged sword. So.
No, for sure. But I do think that like being too perfectionist in your music can really kill your momentum and your workflow.
Oh, yeah.
I really learned to kind of, that's why I do everything last minute. You know, I really work on my song and then figure out what to release until I have a few days to upload it. I have to just finish it now, and then this is how it is after 3 days of listening on my AirPods and my phone and on the Bluetooth speakers and just going back and forward. And like in the end, I'm like, okay, that's the best version. Send it off, and that's.
Oh yeah.
Of course, some songs that you love, you want to put time. It's easier because I have a lot of songs already kind of pre-produced. I have a lot of songs that I'm sitting on that I've just waiting to release at the right moment. And I think that's a good strategy for artists as well. Like start making a few songs till you have maybe 4 songs that you're somewhat happy with, and then you can start releasing one, and then you can already have somewhat of a flow of songs coming out, and you can think, okay, what comes out in 2 months and then in 5 months and so on.
Yeah, this is a good tip actually. It's normal to not feel inspired every day, right? Or like every week or even every month. So if you have like a really productive month and you feel really inspired and you're able to make 5 songs, it's cool because that means that you basically have now 5 months worth of music that if in the following 3 or 4 months, nothing really excites you as these first 5 songs, you still have the music to be release without necessarily worrying about, okay, shit, like I need to make something now because otherwise, blah, blah, blah.
As you said, sometimes I have very inspired days and I produce 2 songs in a day or something. These songs are far from being done. I would say they're maybe 70% done, 80% done. I build a foundation of what it'd be, like the main melody, the bass line, some drums,
Yeah.
or something that works and puts the idea from my head onto something I can listen to down the line.
And I was actually listening to interview with Dave Grohl. He's the lead singer and guitarist from a really small band called Foo Fighters. He was also the drummer for another very small band called Nirvana. He was saying, and I don't remember the exact song, but he was talking about how one of their most successful songs was basically done in the studio in like half an hour just because they had some spare time and he was just messing around. This just goes to show you how powerful stuff like this is, and to not overthink the creation of the music because you never know what's actually gonna hit and what's gonna, to use modern terms, go viral, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that is a very good point.
And I can only confirm this. Like for me, my most successful songs were the ones that I least expected. My song In the Dark, I remember I liked it, but I was like, okay, it's a little different. It's a bit slow for like my songs usually, but I liked it. And I made the cover art literally in the day I uploaded it. I thought of something real quick and I used it. And I even told my friend, if this song flops, I'm not too surprised if people don't like it too much. And now it's at over 10 million streams.
Cool, man. Well, that was a super fun conversation, and we also went in detail with all the different tactics and strategies, which is something that I always love to do. So I'm pretty sure that whoever is watching can get an incredible amount of value from this. Like I said, somewhere in the conversation, we are gonna do something for the audience, some sort of resource based on your strategy, your approach, and I'm also going to link your book where people can basically get to know you more and get to know your strategy even more. So do you have any final words?
No, thank you, Shivani, for giving me the platform to talk about this. I've really worked hard on this guide. I think a lot of people can really benefit from it. Feel free to check it out.
Amazing. I'll make sure to link it somewhere here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you a lot.